Well, good afternoon and welcome to the first session of our webinar series. This one is entitled A Clear View, Career Connected Literacy, and we are so excited that you are able to join us today for this wonderful session, bringing experts from the field together to just talk about this important topic. This will be a fast and informative webinar. It is being recorded and it will be available later on if you want to share or take a second look at it. My name is Jillian Balow, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at MetaMetrics. And I am joined today by colleagues Dr. Saki Dodelson and Dr. Andy Melin, who will be introducing themselves and talking a little bit more about their work and their contributions in this space. Just as a primer, as career readiness gains traction across the nation and really across the world, it's also gaining funding, it's gaining attention of different celebrities and policymakers, funders across the globe, across the United States. And there's a lot of collaboration happening in the space of career readiness, career and technical education, and there are all sorts of good things happening. Now more than ever, we're hearing terms like apprenticeships and internships and work-based learning, skills-based hiring, dual enrollment, valuable credentials. Those terms are out there in the sphere and they're normalized and everyone's talking about them. But sometimes what that causes those of us who are in education to do is say, stop, remember literacy, remember academics. Let's not lose sight of gaining knowledge while also doing this really important work in the career space. So what can we do while students are in school and we have this moment in time to really focus on college and career readiness? And how do we connect the two? How do we connect traditional or imperative essential academics to careers and to literacy and success in life? So today, again, I'm joined by esteemed colleagues from across the nation, actually, and we're going to talk exactly about that. What do students need to know and be able to demonstrate? How can we connect academics to life experiences, both in and out of the classroom, and who's doing it really well? So super excited again today to talk about what we're doing. Just again as a primer at MetaMetrics, and by way of a little bit of bio, I've been out of the seat of state chief for a little over 2 years now. I served as the state education chief in both Virginia and Wyoming, where I had an opportunity to really focus on the initiative of career readiness. Combined with college readiness and military readiness, but career readiness was one that really was gaining traction when I was in both Virginia and Wyoming. And when I came to MetaMetrics, and Gabby, if you'd go to the next slide, that would be great. I saw this wonderful work that we were doing. At MetaMetrics, I was always familiar with the Lexile and the quantile scale. I use both the Lexile and the quantile scales as a parent, as a teacher, and as a state leader. I never knew the great work that was happening in the career place that essentially says that if we have a Lexile level or a quantile level on a student, and a student describes what they want to do, oftentimes, more times than not, we can show a trajectory and forecast whether students will be able to meet the reading and math demands in careers that are high demand and high prosperity. This is just a snippet of that, and we're not going to go into it today, but it's something that I'm really, really excited about at MetaMetrics. And if you want to learn more, please feel free to reach out to me after this webinar is over. With that, I am going to turn this over to my colleague, Dr. Saki Dodelson, to introduce herself and talk a little bit about her work at Beable.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here and an honor. If you don't mind to click. The goal for us, and you said it so well, how do we connect academic to a career? What's our goal for our student? And our goal for our student is happy student on the path to gainful employment. And it could go through, academic or work or military. And how do we make it happen? As you said, what's come first, academic, life skill, essential skills, exposure. And for this, we actually came together, Beable, and many of us at Beable were at Achieve 3000. We were able to do differentiated instruction for millions of kids. MetaMetrics, that we believe is out knowing where students are, what's their readability level, and where they need to be. We can't really do anything. And the World of Work is a curriculum that was designed by San Diego University, Cajon Valley, and the ability to make sure that kids understand strengths, interests, and value, understand that they're born awesome. They have so many things they're interested. You ask kids what they're interested in, they'll tell you so many interests that they have, and really making sure we connect it. We give them a why for academic, why for literacy. So we actually said, let's combine it all together. There's so many visionaries in the school. There's so many programs in the school. Can we actually combine it? And not only combine it, and thank you for that, for clicking, not only combining what's happening in the school, but we combine what's happening in the community. Because we know that in order to get all kids on the path to gainful employment and close the gap, we need to make sure we have teachers, parents, student, community member. We all need to be on the same, we share the same goals, because, as employers, we need the student to come work for us. They need to know who is out there. They need to know what is their lifestyle that they'll need. I'm sharing with this slide shows up that every single job has a lifestyle, have a literacy level is associated with this, especially when we talk about the technology. What used to be that we did not need so much illiteracy in order to start a job. You want to do a welder. You want to be an electrician, there's safety. We need to be at 1300 Lexile level. So every job has a Lexile associated with it. Every job has a literacy they associated with it. So how do we show kids you're born awesome? You have so many interests, but your Lexile is so important. Lexile is your dress for success, especially after the pandemic, where we know that, according to Harvard research, only 25% of kids will be able to overcome it. We know we lost a year. We had a gap here. Do you mind clicking? Thank you. So for us, the idea was, can we create for every student the mission of me? Can student be in the center and understand that I have a vision? I was born, I like to color, I'm artistic. There's so many jobs that are available for me. And I have my journey, I have my goal, my career, and I have my academic that will take me there. I'm self-aware of what I'm good at, what my strengths, interests, and again, literacy is at the heart of it. So for us, there was a goal for us, and we utilizing AI, utilizing technologies, the idea was, can we create a platform that will connect, parents, students, teachers, community together with one vision, one mission? And can we at the same time, with a big picture, give every student the right path, a personal path, where they understand, I was born awesome, I have a goal, I know what's my Lexile, I know what I need to do in order to, achieve that job, military, academic. Do you mind clicking? Thank you. So again, the goal was utilizing AI, utilizing machine learning, utilizing the awesome work that MetaMetrics did with the assessment, be able to assess students and know right away after 20 minutes what's their Alexa level. If we don't know their Alexa level, we can't give them any information because they can't, comprehend and understand. Leveraging student strengths and interests and value, understanding, what is their ISEC, for their, what's their interest, what's their aspiration, what's their goal, and then really provide every student with a personal path to make sure that they know how much time on test they need to do. As Jillian said, we have a forecast that tells us how much time on test they need, how we're going to make sure that every kid is on their path to their future goal. Can you click? And again, the goal is to every student, every child, personal path. We understand, every child, how, what's their reason, what's their goal, what's their literacy. Do you mind clicking? And click, thank you. Combine the best methodologies utilizing technology. You can combine all the best methodologies that we know from the Hardy research. You get more than, the highest return. And then combine thinking big, start small. The ability to keep on adding so every student is on the path to gainful employment.
Saki, you mentioned putting students on a path to success and described that. And I think that most of the participants who are with us today really want to understand what that looks like in practice. So, super excited to introduce Dr. Andy Melin, who is the Executive Director of the Central Indiana Service Center, to talk a little bit about himself and his work.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be part of this webinar today. This has been a passion of mine for many years. I've been in education for 42 years, hard to believe, but way back in 2000, I was a high school principal and I became a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And I started to work with business leaders and I started to ask them, how can we help you? And from that became an opportunity to develop a lot of internship opportunities for students. As time went by, I became a superintendent here in the state of Indiana in 3 different school systems. The last one was Greater Clark County Schools. And in Greater Clark, we put all this together and we developed this whole concept and idea of how can we connect each and every student to the potential best fit post-secondary opportunity. So we developed an academy structure, and that academy structure basically helped every student determine potential career interests based upon talent demand inside of the region. Greater Clark is in southeast Indiana, right across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. And we started to build partnerships with businesses. We started to connect academic concepts to real life applications. Kids were doing work-based learning experiences, job shadows, internships, apprenticeships, etc. We had 400 business partners that connected our students, and we had 16 career pathways that kids could involve themselves in. And what happened in Greater Clark was all of a sudden, Greater Clark had 10,500 students, very diverse population. Our school system was 215 square miles. We had an urban suburban part of our school system. We had a small town and we had a rural. So we had every aspect and every student was given the same treatment. My feeling always was that sometimes the high performing students in school get a lot of attention. They do very well in school and we give them a lot of accolades and they deserve them. Sometimes at the other end of the spectrum, we have students that have a hard time getting out of their own way. And we have to support them and discipline them. But I would contest that the largest share of students, maybe 60, 70% of students in our schools across our country, are backbone individuals. By backbone, I mean they're the kind of people that will show up every day. They'll do what's asked of them. They'll be respectful of others, but they don't get very much attention. So the goal we had was how do we give every single student attention? And we do that by connecting them with their passion, skills, and interests that Saki was talking about to the potential career paths. So that gives you a little bit of my background. I went to the Department of Ed here in Indiana as Chief Innovation Officer for a short time. Wasn't able to get deeply into the work while I was at the department, but I've now been here at our Central Indiana Educational Service Center for 5 years. We're one of 9 service centers in Indiana, and we've been highly engaged in helping districts across the state with this kind of work. And you can see this first slide is the Indiana Career Collaborative. We've created an initiative in our state where the work that I just told you about at Greater Clark is we're spreading that good word across the state of Indiana. So we've created the Indiana Career Collaborative. We're working with school systems really across the state of Indiana to implement this concept. So the theory of it is outstanding. How do you connect those academic skills of literacy and numeracy with the success or employability skills that kids need to possess to be successful and connect them to those real world experiences? So you can see the collaborative has been built. The state of Indiana, I think, has been a leader in a lot of ways in this work. And we have a new high school a graduation requirement where it's more connecting students to work-based learning opportunities. So all of the districts in Indiana are figuring out how to do this work. So the goal is to connect schools, businesses, and community partners, support student success through coordination and collaboration with those business partners, and enhance their career readiness by creating this networking infrastructure. Next slide, please. So this is what that infrastructure looks like. Our team, CISC, is at the pinch point. We are out recruiting intermediary leads, chambers, workforce boards to take the lead on a county by county basis. They're out there recruiting employers to offer work-based learning experiences. We're supporting the development of that work on that top end of that hourglass, and also supporting our school districts, county by county, to show them how to build these kinds of systems of support that are going to be important. Next slide.
All right. Well, thank you so much for just sharing a little overview of what you do. And you know, something that really sticks with me is that in education, so many times when things are going well, we talk about them as pockets of excellence and have no clue how to scale them. Dr. Melin, what you've done is really taken the network that you have, the success that you have, and leverage the policy that's in place and the vehicles like Beable and MetaMetrics to really scale the success that you had on a regional and a state level. And we see that happening in more and more states. But you know, it's one thing to talk about best practices and pockets of excellence. It's quite another thing to do it, and it's even another thing to scale it. So I'm going to take us down a notch to some of the realities that we face as a nation. And they really impact or hopefully motivate some of the work that we do. According to the National Literacy Institute, over 20% of Americans are illiterate in the United States. Also, there are other statistics that are just as jarring as that. Non-readers are oftentimes excluded from promotions and upskilling opportunities. And without basic literacy, a person's earning potential is diminished threefold compared to their literate counterpart. Folks, you can find numbers like this all over the place, and it is a striking, stark, and jarring picture. And speaking of jarring, if you'll go to the next slide, here are our NAEP scores. What we can see from this is that there are a lot of eighth graders that cannot read. So as Saki and Andy are talking about all that they're doing to enthuse students about their careers, the truth is that unless we combine academics and think about academics in the context of getting ready for college and career and military service, we are not ensuring a bright future for our students. So our eighth graders, historically low in reading, doesn't mean that we can't do better. It means that there's nowhere to go but up from here. And so that's what we're focused on. And again, it's not a do we focus on reading or do we focus on career readiness? It's a yes and. We focus on both, especially as students enter the middle and high school years where they're setting goals for themselves. They're envisioning themselves in careers. They're picking out the relevance of the activities like school that they do. And the number one reason that students drop out of school is because they don't see the relevance. So the more that we can do to connect their academics to school and their work experiences to school and all of that to life, the better off that we are. So if you will go to the next slide, and now we're going to turn the corner. And this is the ship. This is steering the ship. One of the top reasons students drop out is because they don't see the relevance. What we know is that a career-connected classroom engages students And we've known this for a long time. Our Perkins data shows us that our graduation rate is higher for students who complete career pathways. And so Perkins, in the latest reauthorization, actually dropped programming all the way down to middle school for career exploration programs. And we know again that there are so many pockets of excellence, but that many states lack a unified vision. Many regions, like Andy's region, lack a unified vision. And that's one of the things that we really hope to scale through webinars like this. And that a focus on academics alone or skills alone is not sufficient for a vision. So I just shared some pretty jarring statistics, but hopefully a pretty clear view for the future. And I wonder, Saki, if you could just respond to that. And talk a little bit about what Beable is doing to be the solution, to be the silver bullet, if you will. And I don't think I say that ever in education, but I think that this is one area where people and some of the emerging practices really do provide a clear view and as much of a silver bullet as we see in education.
Thank you. And what you said is so true. We cannot choose academic or career. It's really need to be intertwined. And for us at Beable, the goal is to take, the vision of Dr. Melin, a vision of our leaders that say, no, our students' future is non-negotiable, and we could do both, but make it that it's a turnkey, that everybody can have it. So the idea for us is, how do we combine both languages? How do we combine the language of Lexile, that every student understands the importance of Lexile? What is my Lexile level? What does it mean to me for the future? What can I do to increase it? If Lexile level means how much money I will make, that's now a reason. It's a why for my literacy, a why for my schooling. And at the same time, make sure they understand that they were born with interest, that every student understands that John Harlan, understanding that every person, every job is divided to 6-letter codes. I like to call them autistic, unconventional, I'm social, I like to help, and really ensure that they're being exposed. So many, you're talking about the graduation rate before, so many kids are not going to high school because they don't see the relevance in high school, and they're not exposed to all the possibilities. So how do we combine both languages from KO, and how do we make sure that you don't have to pick and choose Lexile or ISEC, Lexile of career exploration, career training? Can you go to the next slide? Wanted to share with you what one of our teachers and how the school are embracing both languages.
Welcome to our Beable Breakout Lab. This room is very special because when you walk into the Beable Breakout Lab as a student, they have 2 languages. They speak Lexile and they speak RIASEC. And to a child, what does that mean? Well, one is a reading level, and one is the kind of thinker they are. Knowing your RIASEC code enables you to understand yourself. So it's not only about knowing your letter. When you go and discover your letter and your character traits, you can also look at the posters and see, oh my goodness, these jobs that I would probably be very good at require a Lexile level. And when they see their own Lexile, they see the jobs they want, they see the money they can make, and they get excited about reading. And you start to have that conversation that's needed. Okay, you're at an 890 right now. Eventually you need to be at an 1135. You have how many more years left of school? Oh, about 6 or 7. And all of a sudden they go, I can definitely do this, because they see a clear pathway.
We talk about the importance of combining the RIASEC and Lexile. It's not only us. We see a trend with higher ed of combining for every syllabus. We see some colleges already for every syllabus. What is a RIASEC? So I don't take classes I have zero interest in. And what is the Lexile of that class? So I'm not actually, spending the money and, not actually able to comprehend. If you go next. And we know that our own data, we're a federal database, that all the jobs that are available in this nation are every job. If you see on the bottom, maybe, this job is SAC, social, entrepreneurial, and conventional, and every job is a Lexile level. So MetaMetrics did an awesome project, actually Lexiling their own in the federal database. And so for every job, we know, I'm an SAC, so this job could be wonderful for me. So what is that Lexile? What do I need to do to ensure that I actually can enter this job and continue and actually earning money. I'm going to continue next. The idea for us is that we're creating this platform using AI, machine learning, wisdom of the crowd, and the goal is that every student will get the language of positivity. By utilizing both languages, every student can get and describe themselves in a positive way. I'm not just a 6th student reading at 2nd grade, and I'm like always below, but I'm Saki, and I'm in 6th grade, and I'm autistic, and I'm social, and I'm an enterprise. And I have so many jobs that I explore that are fits my interest. And I am a 200 Lexile. And for this job, I need to be at 1100 Lexile. But after I found my why, because I want to make $120,000 and I want to walk outside and I want to walk with children, this program will also create my path. I know how much time on task I need with a wonderful tool for MetaMetrics, a forecaster, and I know what scaffolding this student need. So we actually create for every student, every teacher, get to know me, student get to know themselves, teacher get to know the student, find my why, give me all my options, and then create a personal path. So we go from a big picture for every student, every district, every state, to actually a personal path for every student. Why? Because we can now. We have technology allow us to extend Dr. Melin. Want to go next?
Hi, my name is Sammy and I'm from Rios, and today I'm going to be shadowing Dr. Miyashiro, doing a level 4 simulation. And we're gonna go check out the world of work at Greenfield Middle School. Dr. Miyashiro is teaching me how to be a superintendent because my future career that I wanted to be is a superintendent, and we have the same RAS code. I like traveling to different schools and seeing how other schools progress and how others are different from other schools. When I'm a superintendent, I'm going to be focusing on trying to get my people to work hard and to make my district a better place, and to make my schools a good school, and to make my schools unique and different from others, but still a nice school.
How do you think A shows up in the superintendent?
A is artistic. For me, artistic shows up as doing unique stuff, doing different stuff, from getting out of the box, doing stuff that I have to go through.
Okay, click next if you
Other
want.
people trying new stuff and do stuff that I already do.
Okay, click next. Thank
And I
you.
think there's a big possibility for me to be a superintendent.
Next slide. There we go.
Thank you. And doing this, I mean, you can see what, Dr. Melin's data is. So this is Dr. Melin's data.
So,
All right.
oh, go ahead, I'm
Sorry, I was going to pass it on to Andy. Thank you.
no, thank you. So I think a key factor is what I love about Beable is how it brings the power of literacy and the power of career-connected learning together to help students better identify their why. I love that statement. What is their why? Because their why is what makes education relevant to them. To me, that's a big key as we look to transform education in our country is how can we make learning more relevant for each and every student? And so I'll maybe go more into that in just a little bit, but look at 1,033 students selected their pathway here, and 517 picked the employed pathway, 106 enlisted, and 409 enrolled. What I love about this is the diversity of the choices that kids are making. All three of these choices are valuable. Sometimes in our society, and I'm a parent of three, we feel if our children don't go to college, that we somehow have failed them as parents. Well, what I've learned with my three children is I have one that went right into the workforce. Had one that went right into a four-year college, and I have a third that went right into the military. So in all three cases, my kids are living their best life based upon what's their best fit for them. So you want me to keep going here, Saki, or?
But it's your data you can click through. It just, the idea of utilizing a system, you can see right away where your students are and customize what you get.
What I love about this data, and without getting too deep into the weeds, is think about those RIASEC codes. If we're trying to help students really understand who they are as individuals, what I loved about the video with the young man who wanted to be a superintendent, I mean, he could directly connect those three major RIASEC codes that pertain to him to something he's very interested in, and that is to become a superintendent. So what you can see here in this data is students are going through a process. This is not a one-time punch a few buttons and now I have my RIASEC codes. What they're doing is they're working through a series of experiences where they are identifying those areas that best portray who they are as individuals. So you can see the numbers relative to the students who have identified themselves in the realistic, the investigative, the artistic, social, enterprising, and the conventional. And look at the numbers there too, I think is interesting. How the numbers are fairly balanced across all of those 6 RIASEC codes. And again, students are not just any one, right? They are multiple, they have multiple codes. And so I think if we can really, as educators, identify where students are, where their strengths, their skills, their interests, their values are, and then connect academic learning and content to this. And I've seen it in practice. I've been to schools, I've seen this working, and it's a pretty powerful tool. And again, then you're connecting just literacy in general to make reading more relevant for students based upon what their appropriate lexile skill is. So now they're achieving a level of success relative to literacy. They're better able to determine or feel that educators care about who they are as individuals. So just love the data is very positive and reflecting how we can help students individually feel more valued and connect them with relevancy to academic content. Next slide. So again, through their efforts, they're connecting their learning to what's possible. What is that future for myself as a student? Now, that doesn't mean, by the way, I think it's vital that everyone knows that this is a K-12 model. Everything that we're talking about is K-12. This isn't just high school. We're not waiting to high school. We're trying to build a really strong foundation, K-8. And so, and again, some parents will say, well, I don't want my third grader determining that they want to be a fashion designer. Well, that doesn't mean that they're going to become a fashion designer. That means that they have a level of interest at that time in something that is important to them. Again, relevancy, a very important R word in education, right? So you can see that 4,800 plus students selected careers, and you can see where their interests lied at the time. And again, it doesn't mean that that's the end all be all. That means that at that point in time, that gives them a sense of what their interests are. Next slide. And look at the lexile improvement. So on average, students grew 139 lexile points compared to 46 expected. So I know that us in education, this should not be, it's not rocket science. If we're having kids read things that they have interest in, they should better be able to retain that learning, that knowledge, right? And so if they're reading things that have value to them, that's relevant to them, look at what happens from a Lexile improvement perspective. Next slide.
Right. I'm going to take this one and say, nary is there a conversation in education anymore where we don't talk about technology and AI. And it's just the way that we do business. We can talk about the good, bad, and the ugly when it comes to technology and AI, but I think especially when it comes to career-connected learning, there are so many opportunities to enhance the career exploration process for all learners. When we incorporate technology into the process, not only do we open up a whole bevy of careers that maybe weren't available or that we weren't thinking about 10 years ago, but just the exploration process itself is more personalized. I know at MetaMetrics a lot, we talk about linking to videos and articles and simulations and networks of people based on what students are interested in, based on their skill level of literature or reading that they can access. And so all of a sudden, something that looked very static for most of us when we were in high school now looks very dynamic for students starting at a younger age when they have less stress about the future, brighter goals, and a great enthusiasm for the future ahead. And so we can create through technology, through people, and educators, parents, as well as the business community, we can create a really, really dynamic career exploration process or experience for all students. And just as Dr. Melin says, that doesn't mean that if they say in 5th grade, hey, I want to be an electrician or a nurse practitioner, that's what they're stuck in. It means that maybe on that day or at that time, they're matching up their skills and strengths and interests to particular careers, and they've just opened up their world to think about even more. I would love for you, Saki, to just talk a little bit about how you incorporate the world of technology and AI into your product at Beable. And then Dr. Melin, if you'll talk a little bit about how you utilize that. Again, we're so interested in hearing how that looks and feels in the field and how you've scaled that. But Saki, we'll start with you.
Thank you. Can we share a video? Is that okay as an answer?
So my RISEC code is REA, realistic, enterprising, and artistic. I'm really a doer. I really like to get jobs done. I like to create things. I love cleaning. I really like technology. Like a famous YouTuber, Mark Rober, he's an engineer. A really big fan of basketball. So our teachers should know all this information technically because they can learn more about us. For now, I have 795 Lexiles from doing lessons. And my goal, if I want to do any of these careers, I should be at least 1,600 Lexiles or more.
So the teacher can know everything about me. What a beautiful connector. Without technology, how will I know? How will I know? We know, what grades they are in academics. That's what we get, from student information. But it's a student future system. Technology can allow us to know that you like animals and you like, and you're enterprise. And maybe my students that is reading below is really my next Steve Jobs. Allow us to talk the language of positivity, know where they want to go and how to help them. Allow us to give students more time on task at home. Allow us to connect the parents in a very positive way. Allow students to see who went to my school and what their future jobs. Without technology, AI, machine learning, we can't connect all the pieces. It was one piece at a time, and this allows us to connect it. Dr. Melanie talked about, knowing the student, not only they're not stuck with a job, but maybe I'm conventional because I don't know how autistic I am. I was never exposed. I was never exposed to enterprise. So the knowing where the students are and allow the teacher to expose them to other possibilities, This is really what equity is all about. The ability to show all kids you can dream and give them the step-by-step how to get there, making teachers' job more efficient because we need the educators. The educators are the Mother Teresa out there. And giving them a system and a turnkey system that allow us to connect the student future to where they are, step by step. This is what technology is all about.
So my Rise to Code is
So here I am presenting my 3 Beable career interests, and for my first one, I have network and computer administrative. One of the main reasons I picked it was because it fit my rise, like, because I am a person of enterprise, I'm an investigative person, and I'm a realistic person.
Beable is a great resource for today's lesson, especially for students of low income that come through the school that may not have knowledge from family or friends that can show them different jobs.
Probably a very appealing thing is the salary rate. The median wage in 2021 was 80.6 thousand yearly, but you could technically get more if you're very invaluable to the company. My lifestyle is 1,445, which means I do have the necessary fit for it.
It's a student that, we do presentation literacy as part of literacy, and here students understand what they were born, strengths, interests, and value, what's possible for them, and how literacy is a key to success. And they really use Lexile as a dress for success. Thank you.
Right.
I know
Dr.
that-
Melin.
Yeah, I know that time is of the essence. So I think a key factor in all this work is that in order to Beable is an incredible tool, as you've seen. But we need to build systems. School districts need to build systems. Beable is a tremendous support to this system, but it really requires, in my mind, a whole community of people to come together and identify what are those things what are those skills that we think are essential for kids to have embedded in who they are, so that they then can, again, skills, academic skills like literacy, numeracy, those employability skills, or I refer to them as success skills. Let's embed those in the culture of a school system, K-12. So you do that through a community-based group that comes together of multiple stakeholders. You identify a portrait of a learner or graduate, and then you build an actual master plan that everyone has to become accountable to and is monitored on a regular basis. So I talk about having a network infrastructure in place because you've got to bring the nonprofit, higher ed, and business community into the school system, and along with all of your parents and students and your educators. In the last slide, we can't forget about our educators, and that is we have to provide training for them, because this is new and different for most of our people in classrooms. So we have to provide a level of training and support. And the last thing I'll say is we need to get educators out into the world through different experiences during the school year, where they're going out to different businesses, higher ed institutions, nonprofits, so they can learn what's happening out there in the community and bring what they've learned back into the classroom, so they can really speak more intelligently about how they're connecting their academic content to real life application, and again, focusing on that relevancy piece. So we just really believe that the system has to be in place. You have to make it part of your culture. You have to have it has to be community and career connected learning. And then you have to provide specific professional development to support their professional practice.
All right. We thank you. I neglected at the beginning of the session to share that the Q&A is wide open. We are not going to, I'm trying to type some answers furiously as we go. And if we don't get to we're not going to get to your question because it's 1:45 on the dot, but I will certainly make sure that we follow up and answer these questions after the webinar is over. I want to once again thank Dr. Melin and Dr. Dodelson for joining today. And we do have additional webinars in this series. This is session 1 of, I believe, 3. And I want to just thank everyone for attending. And again, this will be streamed or this will be available on our YouTube channel, and we will send that out when it is available. So thank you so much to everyone who joined, and thank you again, Dr. Melin and Dr. Dodelson.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.